How's it going today? And thank you for joining us for our last seminar before the holidays here, and the last of our four-part series of Fun with Photos. In our previous ones, we covered capture, which was getting all of the photos into Apple Photos, organize, where we created albums and some different techniques to organize our photos once we got them in. And the last one that we had was on some basic edits with Apple Photos as well. Today, we are going to be talking about sharing and creating projects. This will be what we're going to use, especially for the holidays. This is something that you might want to consider doing to share all these great photos out, stuff like books, cards, how to share things through email and AirDrop, and how to create shared albums using photos, and then getting those out to your family and loved ones so that they can all participate and enjoy these photos as well. Particularly a great idea, due to COVID and all that. This is a great way to share our precious moments and family times without, getting everyone sick and whatnot. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And as usual, we're going to ask that you keep the questions to the end of the seminar, and we'll be tackling some of those, answering some of those questions for you and get you started. So let's start with, let's get on to get some photos here. I'm going to share the screen out and let's kind of get right to it. All right, folks, so what we should be seeing now is my display number 2 here. And I've got my Apple Photos open here. And from the last sessions here, we had started off with creating a few albums here. As you can see, just in the sidebar here, I've got a section here called My Albums. And we're going to start first with creating some projects. Projects with Apple were some different things like slideshows, books, cards, and those types of things. And they were a really great gift idea to send, my last family trip. You can send a book to loved ones. We're going to discuss how how that's going to happen right now. Now, Apple used to have a service where they did this for you and built it into the old iPhotos. Nowadays, Apple is no longer in the business of making these types of books, cards, and calendars for us. And so what they've done is they've teamed up with some other partners and use the App Store to bring these programs in as extensions so that they can, and each one's a little bit different. So we're going to start off with creating a project, and we're going to go to the very bottom here, and we're going to select projects, and you're going to have a little button just to the bottom here with a plus button. When we click that, it's going to ask us what type of project we want to make. Now, a very popular thing this time of year is creating photo books, and we're going to use one of those right now. Now, as I mentioned, there are a couple of different partners that make software to create books and cards and calendars and even prints now as well. And I've got one in here called Mimo Photos. This is just about one of about maybe 4 of them. So what we're going to do here is I want to show you how to create a quick book here, and additionally, what other options we have and how to get those into your photos. Everybody's tastes will be different, so this is going to be a great way to start. So first of all, we want to make sure that we've got the program in here. So I've selected books, and I'm going to choose the App Store because I want you to kind of get a little bit of a look as to what is on offer to create these types of projects. So I'm going to select the App Store here. The App Store will open up, and these are going to be some of the projects, or sorry, the programs that are available that can make different, offer us different products like books and the like. So for example, for making books, we've got 4 programs here, 4 companies that are teaming up with Apple to create fantastic books. We've got Mimo Photos, which is the one I'm going to use today. Motif, which is another album maker. Each one kind of offers some different options, and so I suggest you kind of take a look at them. They're mostly free to create these projects until you want to go and actually get a book or a calendar delivered. Then you will have to pay depending on which option you choose. So for example, we've got books that we can make. These 4 companies here will allow us to make them. Hanging it up, this is a new one from a company called MPix. I've got a friend of mine that's actually used one of those, and he took this fantastic photo of this tree in China on a nice, really cool hill. And it was just a small little pic, but he ended up using this MPix company, and they've got a really big canvas done up, and now it sits on our wall at home, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It wasn't cheap, but it was a really cool option to have if you got some great photos that you would love to blow up and get done on the walls. So again, Mimo and Motif seem to be the companies that make the calendars, cards, and the like. MPix is usually the one where you can order prints. So anything that you've done in your, any photos that you've got in your Apple Photos albums, you can get even printed out like you did the old Kodak days. You went to the Kodak Hut and here's my photos, or here's my film, and a week later or so, you got an envelope full of photos and whatnot, and precious moments ready to go. So just wanted to point that out. You get these apps from the App Store. So we're going to move on now and start off with, let's say, making a book. So I'm going to select plus again, select book. And because I've got Mimo photos installed here already, I'm going to select that. And you should see here the Mimo app will open up. And it's going to ask us what kind of a book do we want to create. There'll be different sizes, soft covers, hard covers, and the like, and different sizes to choose from. So I'm just going to use the standard one here. It's a nice one. I've seen some customers who have come back to me last year around this time and said, wow, and showed me their books. And they really are quite stunning. And great to have those on a coffee table as well. So I'm going to choose hardcover book, select create. And what we're going to be presented with is a whole bunch of templates for books that we can use and create them. So there are quite a number of templates already in here. I am going to choose this Grand Canyon template, or if you're actually really comfortable, you can actually create a blank one and design it yourself. So for example, I am going to use, let's see, where's that Grand Canyon one? There we go, Monument Valley. Let's use this one. So I'm going to select it, and we will be presented with, and again, this is going to ask us, it's going to ask us some questions here if we want to help ease the process. So if we want to see tips on how to use this program, we can turn that on. This will pop up and allow us to choose or learn how to bring our photos into this. So let's see here. Take a look at your book. Sure. And with this, the top 2 panels here are going to be the, let's say, the front of the book and the back of the book on the hardcover. So they've kind of laid these out on the bottom pane here, where you see where it says front. The next 2 pages is the inside of the book, and they've already got some templates already set here to choose certain types of photos. And all that's really required is to create or grab the photos that you want and drag and drop them in. So let's say I want to, let's name the book here. We're going to call this Test. Now let's leave that for now. What I'm looking for specifically in the right-hand column, you will see a section here called My Photos. And let's just use, interesting, it's supposed to pop that on. What's usually supposed to happen, we get the photos that we want. Okay, this this has changed a little bit since I last used it. Let's try this one more time. Let's go back out here. Select open. No photos in this album. Oh, yeah. Let's go back to that. Sorry, folks. Just going to try that one more time here. Let's start that again. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to choose this Ski Trip to Revi album. These are all the photos that I've already put into an album. And if I right click on this, I should be presented with a create section here. And by doing so, from this album and this collection of photos, I should be able to just tell Mimo Photos to use these photos in this album. And let's see if that will allow us to do that again. Okay, let's choose which kind of book. That, and it may populate. Ah, there we go. That's what we wanted. So this is going to show the template of the book that we're going to use, and the photos section, or all of my albums and libraries, will now show up in this right-hand panel. So let's say I'm going to choose this one right here, and this is going to be the front of my book. So I'm going to take this one, drag and drop it, and I'll take another one and we'll put this one here. This is going to be the back of my book. Now, this is where we kind of get to have a little bit of fun. We can resize these photos. We can kind of shape them a little bit differently. We can move them around as well to kind of fill out the back and move them accordingly. Go. Additionally, as well, you can swap out any photos if you want, as you can see here. But the idea here is to grab the photos and lay them out into these slots wherever you want. This will also allow you to align the photos so that everything is perfectly straight as well. Now, what I want to do here, I'm also just going to get rid of our sidebar here just so I can see a little bit more of the Mimo app. Go. Should leave that there for a moment. All right, so we got a front and we got a back to our book. We're going to go to the next panels here, and this is kind of like the dust cover. So really, the first page or the first photo we're going to use is this one right here. So I'm going to grab this, drop that here, move to the next set of pages. The idea here is you get to organize this however you want. You can just drag and drop your photos in here, and you'll have a few other tools here at your disposal. So as you're dropping these photos in, let's say I just wanted to get at my friend Chris here. In that section, we can crop this photo again so that it just fills his. Go. And then we can move the photo around in here so that fits accordingly. Now, these abilities may, depending on the quality of the picture that you took, the results on this may differ. So if it's a low quality shot from maybe an old camera or something like that, you want to make sure that it's going to be of high resolution enough so that it prints out in decent quality and whatnot. And so we'll just kind of fill these out, add some different photos to it. And as you can see, as you fill this out, or once the book is completed, go. Oh wow, this particular one would fill out the entire photo because it's got to be a two-pager. And go to one more here. Let's see what else we got. That's perfect. Let's use this one instead. I can drop that over to, that's much cooler. Wow, that's going to be awesome. So the idea with this is to start grabbing your photos, lay them out however you want, and when you are ready to go, you'll basically get to go to the checkout time, really, at this point. And let's see here. Oh, additionally, if you ever wanted to add any more text, there's a few more tools in the right-hand corner. So for example, text, if I wanted to add a text box, add an empty text box, there we go. I can drag and drop this wherever I want. There we go, and it'll also help us align things. When I'm ready to go, I will just type the text that I want. Wow, this is far up. There we go. Get that there, and you'll see that this is going to align the text here. Select that. There we go. So you can start to drag and drop this wherever you want. You can also readjust the size of the text box as well and move it around to wherever you wish. So when you're actually off, it looks just like this. So you can add text to any part that you want. The other thing you can also do, you have a few other choices here. Now, actually, I wanted to point out one more thing here. If you've got a photo that's not quite up to snuff or not a high enough resolution to make a good printout of it, it will warn you up in the top corner here. So if you ever see this little red exclamation mark up here, this is warning you that the resolution of this is too low and it will not probably print out very well. So they want to give you that warning. This behavior is the same throughout all of the projects. So books will look like this. Calendars will be very similar as well, where you get to kind of go in there and change the layouts, change the pictures and the styles and whatnot. So do install it, have some fun with it. It's free up until the point you're ready to actually pull the trigger and order these calendars that you created. So without any ado, we're going to move on from the project side here, and you'll see here all the projects will be listed in the bottom here as well. Now, the one more thing I wanted to show here, wall decor. This is one of those things where you can get photos printed out into different products as well. This is kind of a new one for them as well. So metal wall decor, you get to fill your home with some pretty cool products here as well. They're like a really stiff background on this. And wow, those actually look really, really well too. Again, same idea, create the project, choose the pictures that you want to use in this as well. Let's see a full-size photo, sure, absolutely. And your photo selections will come up to the side here, and let's just see if we can choose like all the photos. You know, so it's all the photos from that particular album. Go. Let's choose that one, and there we go. That would make a pretty cool photo here as well. That would be able to be hung up on the wall. You'll see the pricing up on the top here as well, and a few other options that you will have up here as well, whether to save it. A quick little preview of what this might look like, and we'll go from there. All right, let's move on to the other sharing options that we have. There's quite a few more in here that we can cover. The albums, here we go. There is a feature in Apple Photos called shared albums. This is, if you are using iCloud Photos, you already kind of have this option potentially turned on. If you are not a iCloud user or subscriber, you can still take advantage of this shared album feature. We have to go into Photos, into Preferences, and you will see here in the Preferences file here that we have a Shared Albums button in the bottom. If we turn this on, you should see in a moment's time a new set of albums will show up in your sidebar, specifically called Shared Albums. And this will allow us to create shared albums that we can then share with family and loved ones wherever they happen to be. And this will work with their Photos app, or if they are a PC user. There are a few other ways that they can access this as well through iCloud And we'll show you that in just 2 moments. So let's start off with first making a shared album. We hover over the shared albums icon. We select the plus button, and we select, well, first let's title this. Let's say Revelstoke trip. Revy trip. There we go. And now this is going to allow me to add people to this list who will allow, who basically get a notice on their in their Apple Photos that they've got a new share album that they can participate with. Now, sharing this album out, the one cool thing I really like about this shared album, other than let's say like Instagram and all these other things, I get to choose what happens with my photos. I don't have to worry about whether somebody's got the rights to use my photos in some sort of other fashion that I did not authorize. So this is my preferred method of sharing my photos and videos with my family and friends because I've got control of it. Right. So if I were to invite some folks here, I might type in. Let's see here. I'm going to type my. There we go. SeaBass. Colon. That's gmail.com. If I add that here, this is going to send an email to my to me basically, and it's going to allow me to inform me that this is now ready for use, or I should have that coming up. Let's see if I can get that called up here. Now, first of all, we also have to add the photos that we want to the shared album. So let's go down to the ski trip at Revy album that I created. And we're going to just drag and drop a couple of photos here that I like. Let's see here. Sure, that one's actually really cool. This was the Olympic hockey day. That's one. Wow, I had some really good ones that day. And so I've made my selections here, and one of the ways you can do this, you can just quickly drag and drop these selections, like so, and add them to the album like so. And then you'll see that these are now populated. So these photos will now be available. Now that I've added this here, I'm just going to add my iPad to the mix here so you can see what this is going to look like from the receiving end. 2 seconds there. Hey, Justin, can you grab me that gray case? Gray case there, yeah. That's it. Thank you. All right, so what I'm going to do is just connect my iPad to this and show you what this is supposed to look like. Because on my iPad here, I just got a notification on the top here that says, hey, you've got a notification from Apple Photos. Would you like to authorize this and view these photos? I sure do. Let's see if I can get this on. Okay, we still with us there? There we go. Let's get on here. One more second there, folks. Let's see here. So the idea here is that the iPad is in my version of Photos. I should be informed that I have a new shared album up for grabs. And we're going to see if we can get that fired up on the screen here. Oh, sorry about that, folks. That doesn't look like that's going to fire just at the moment. But the idea here, your phone or any device that is signed in with your Apple ID will basically allow you to, will show these albums in your library. This also goes with an Apple TV as well. you can see these shared albums. So if you've got grandparents or parents who aren't too tech savvy, you can, if they've got an Apple TV in there and they're signed in, they should be able to see this just fine. The other way that people can see these photos is via iCloud. So for example, we'll do that. We're actually going to go into iCloud. I'm going to open up we're going to go to iCloud.com, and we're going to see that that album for Revy is good to go. Let's just get signed in. Oops, where's that here? Okay, so now what we should be seeing here in a moment's time here, this is I would be showing this. So I've created the album. I've sent the request to myself on a different Apple ID. So this kind of mimics what the end person would be able to see. So if I select photos in here now, we should see my albums. Let's go to the shared ones. Let's get back to photos just for 1 second and send that request. Shared album. Let's check the people who are invited to this. At that time. Revy. SeaBass. Add, great, good stuff. And oh, I'm sorry, one more folks there, one more time. Create, there's that. There's the Revy one. Let's add those selections again. That one. This one here. Drag those over to the shared album. And let's go back to section right in here. And in a moment's time, I'm supposed to see a shared album pop up here or a notification. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing that just at the moment. Okay, let's do this one more time. Sorry about that, folks. A little bit of a technical glitch there. But the sharing side, this is kind of a really, there we go. Okay, sorry about that, folks. I don't think that's going to fire at the moment. I think I've got my Apple IDs a little sideways on this one. I'm just going to add my friend, my boss here, Dessen, to the list here, and we'll just kind of see if we can get a verification that this side is working correctly. Let's get out of that for a quick moment. Back to photos, and let's do one more time. We're going to do a test album. Oops. H-A-N.
H-A-N-U-M-A-N.
Yeah. Got it. That simply?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. That. Just added these photos. There's an error. I think it's like the test. Let's try that one more time. So select the photos, add them to the album. These are now added, and anything pop up for you there? Ah, gotcha. Now, the other part too is if you send this via an email or something like that as well, if it's a PC user or something like that, they will sometimes get a link and so that they can see them publicly. So for example, if I go back to the email side of things, sign in. Let's just switch that. Sorry there, folks. Awesome. So got that there as well. So perfect. All right, we got something on. Got something online. So here's what happens. So if I send it via an email, like I did just a moment ago there, as you can see up on the screen now, I have my emails up here, and you'll see here that I got Trainer One, which is what I sent the photos from. Subscribe to Trainer One's Revy, select OK, and you will see here, this is an iCloud link that makes this available to the person I added. So for example, if I go to my email and click this, select subscribe, I will now be able to, let's see, let's try that. Can't find any album details here. Let's try one more thing here. The idea here is this link via email will allow you to use a web browser to view these as well. If there is another Apple user for Apple Photos, they will also see it in their shared albums as well. Sorry, folks, I was hoping that was going to work a little more smoothly, but unfortunately, no. But that's the idea. Create the shared album, add the photos, invite the people you want to see them, and they will be able to access them on a couple of different devices. The shared albums, by the way, you'll have a couple of different ways. You can either invite people, you can also subscribe. This will also allow subscribers to post comments about these photos or any of the assets. You can also allow, you can also create shared albums so that they are also viewable at iCloud.com in a kind of like a public website kind of setup. All right, we're going to move on from that shared album section here, and we're going to focus one more time on the shared button, which is in Photos. So up in the top here, you will see a little box with a arrow on it, right up close to the search bar in Apple Photos. And this is the share button. The share button allows us to, with the selection of photos that we have, or with a selection in hand, we can decide to share these out through a number of different other ways. So specifically, if I make a couple of selection of photos like so, if I hit the share button, I'll be presented with a few different ways to send these, to share these out as well. First one we kind of covered there was shared albums. The other one is with your mail program. So with those 10 pictures I've chosen here, I'm going to select the share button, select mail, and this will open up Apple Mail and stack these photos in such a way that they will be sent out to whoever I add to the list. So I can just simply add the address that I want. Revy trip. And send these along the way. Now, a note about this. I am using my iCloud to send these, my iCloud email address to send these files out. iCloud allows us to send, it leverages our iCloud storage to send these large photos out. If you use something like on Gmail or something like that, there may be some limitations on what your email provider allows for attachment size. The usual is about anywhere from 10 to 25 megs. The other options that we have. Now, if you want to post to, let's say, Facebook or Instagram and things of that nature, you can also set up the share feature to include your social media platforms in here as well. So for example, if I select more here, this is going to open up the share button and allow us to add things like Facebook or Instagram. So if you've signed in with Facebook or Instagram and other things like this, those options will show up in here as well. I don't have my Facebook set up with this at the moment, but this is where you will find all of those other social media apps that have extensions in your Mac for photos. Extensions are basically kind of like I guess a little helper program that allows the Apple Photos library to be reached by different applications. So you can send and post directly from Apple Photos to your various shared services, whether it's Flickr, Facebook, Instagram, and all those different other services as well. Additionally, you will also see there are other, like AirDrop. That's also another handy one as well. So if you are using your iPhone or iPad, you can make a selection like this as well. Hit the share button, and you can even use AirDrop to send these to, let's say, another family member or whatnot, if they happen to be close by. This will require, I'm not on one at the moment, but you can also use AirDrop from this to allow that to happen as well. Okay, what other sharing features do we have? Actually, yeah, the other one that I wanted to bring up as well. Some of you might take these, let's say go into some of these places like Staples or London Drugs where they have different photo services at the counter here. If you're an Apple user, one of the things that you can do is to create an album, and from these albums, let's say you wanted to take these to a group of photos and you wanted to take them to London Drugs or Staples to get them printed out at one of those particular places. The way that you would do so is to grab a USB stick and drag and drop these photos that you want into a folder on a USB stick, and then take that USB stick to Staples and or London Drugs and use their photo facilities there to get some of these things printed out as well. So for example, if I go back up to my photo library, select a few photos like so. Okay, those are selected, and on my desktop, I'm going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this Pics to Get Printed. So with that, let's pretend this folder is actually on a USB stick instead. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to simply drag and drop the photos that I want, just like so. Put them into that folder here. And now I'll be able to take this to one of my local shops here and get various prints and pics printed out from this as well. So if you're in a bind and you don't want to wait for that, that book to arrive or prints to arrive in a couple of weeks' time, you can also do it this way and visit your local photo shop, or sorry, photo company, and get them printed out that way as well. All right, I think we're just almost out of time there for the sharing side here. We're going to happy to start taking some questions here. And let's give that a whirl. Okay, let's see here. The first question that I have. All right, I got Mary's asking, can I print to my printer using the projects calendar in the Mimo app? I don't believe so. No, once you bring your pictures into the Mimo app, it is designing a book, a calendar, or anything else like that, and then it sends it off to them. That is not a possibility to my knowledge at the moment in Photos.
But I would suggest taking a look at Pages
on
that's
that's actually a great
application, and use your photos in that way, and then you can print your own Pages templates.
That's right. Yeah, actually, that Dustin brings up a great point. Because your Photos library is kind of all integrated into Apple's products, this is actually a really great way to show this. So let's do this. Go back to that desktop too. There we go. That's sharing out now. I think we still see the. There we go. So I'm going to open up Pages for a quick moment here, and this is kind of the cool thing about using Apple Photos is it curates all of your photos and organizes them all the way that you want, and it allows all of the other apps like Pages, Final Cut, and a whole slew of other things to use these photos. And let's just choose simply let's get that down there. Choose Pages, and let's say, because they've got some great templates in here too, like a guidebook or a training book. Here we go, photo book. Now this will be kind of a template with, let's give that a moment. This will be a template that's going to have placeholders in here already. So for example, we now have Pages open, and right at the top here, you'll see a little drop-down list for media. And when we select so, you'll see that we have photos, image gallery, all these different sources of media. When we select photos, this now opens up our photo library, or reaches into Apple Photos and says, hey, what do you have up for grabs that I can put into my system? So if I just select photos here, this is going to show the libraries and basically all the photos in chronological order. If you have tagged your photos or had albums created and things of that nature, you might be able to search by those as well. So if I type search and type in Revy, nope, not showing up. Or possibly even by faces, because I know, here we go. If I look, look at that. So some of the work that we did in our previous seminars, like in our organization bit, we tagged a few people, myself and my friend Chris and my friend James. So it allows me to kind of search through these like that. I can pick the photos that I want, and you'll see that it is now importing this media into this book. And we can then use pages to create the media that we want, move these where we want, and then you'll be able to print them out that way. It's not as easy sometimes as not as easy sometimes as what we were able to do in Mimo, but this allows you to kind of create your own books without having to send them out and wait for it. You might also notice here where that picture icon is at the very bottom. If you select this, this should allow you to just pick that photo and put it in the placeholder. There we go. That's the better way to do that. So if I go up to that top one again, remove the photo that I popped in, and instead choose the little photo icon in the bottom left corner of this panel, this will allow me to reach into the photo library and replace the photo, there we go, with the one that is in that library. That's actually really handy. Thanks, Dustin. That's a great idea.
SeaBass, just as another option as well, I've used it a few times for social media posts, is to use Canva. I was just checking there is a photo collage option. So similar to what you're using with Pages, but it has a lot of the templates preloaded.
Oh, really?
And you can save them as PDFs. So if Mary did want to create a collage and print it herself, you could maybe use Canva and do it that way.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really one of the big benefits with Apple Photos in particular. There is a lot of great, because they're not in the how do I put it? They're not creating all the different projects per se for you to print out and whatnot, but it's really a way to import and organize your photos so that all of these other services like sharing services, media services, have access to a unified, organized library on your Mac. So really powerful stuff. And thanks for that, Barry. That's a great option. Again,
the one thing I might note, SeaBass, on that, you have to upload photos, so I'm not sure it's going to pull from. You can certainly access them if you have them in I haven't gone too much into it in terms of like the photo collage side.
okay.
It may not be as organized as what's in your photos, but it's just another option, certainly, if you wanted, if there were certain images that you wanted to use.
Gotcha. Well, again, if it's that kind of thing, if you've done the organization in Photos with albums and the like, this is where we use that drag and drop feature out from. So for example, if you've already got albums already created, just like this one here, if these are going to be the ones I want to have printed or used for that export, if the program that you want to send it to does not have Apple extensions, this is where we can just create the album that you want, organize the photos the way you want, and then just drag and drop them out of the album into a folder like this. And now you've got a way to upload these to whatever Canvas services or anything else like that as well. That's the other way to make that work. Thanks for that, Barry. It's a great tip. All right, folks, do we have any other questions here before we finish up? Let's see here. Okay, I think we got Mary's all sorted out there. Oh, sorry, one more thing to demonstrate the extensions here. I've actually recently just, in our last session in editing, I've since bought a new program called Affinity Photo. And it's kind of like another version of like Photoshop. But what made it really kind of cool is when I go into any of my photos here, there is, and even this also works if you're a Photoshop user as well or using other photo tools that you can get from the Apple App Store. If you right-click any one of these photos here, you should see a little further down a feature here called Edit With. If there are any editing programs that are able to reach into Apple Photos, they will show up here. This is a super handy way to kind of look at certain photos and go, you know what, I want to grab this photo, and instead of having to go through like a 4 or 5 steps to get into your favorite editing program, editing programs like Affinity Photo and I think Photoshop as well that have access to photo library can be started right here. So if I take this photo of me sitting down on the mountain, select Edit with Affinity Photo, this now opens up Affinity Photo with the picture ready to go and ready to be edited with. Apple Photos has a lot of great editing tools, but there are certain times where more advanced photo editors like Photoshop and Affinity Photo can really dazzle and kind of get into some big time work here. So just wanted to make sure that you guys knew about this as well, because there is a lot of really powerful tools in here that, wow, that's a red day. A lot of really powerful tools in some of these higher end editors as well. And again, that's an extension that is available for the Apple libraries. All right, folks, I think that's all we got time for today. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be taking a break from seminars for a little bit as we get into the holidays here, but do stay tuned to keep an eye on our website and subscribe if you like as well, and you will hear when we got some new seminars coming up. Thanks a bunch. Thanks for joining us, and have a great, safe holiday season. Take care.